Bienvenidos and welcome to round 5 of the Formula 1 season in 2019. This is the GT preview show for the first European race of the Formula 1 season in 2019. We're very excited to be here. As we've been saying for a lot of times, we are really in the thick of it. Obviously, as the Spanish Grand Prix, it is round 5. Concluding the 4 flyaway races we've had and a bit of a thrilling start to the Formula 1 season. Obviously, the best start that Mercedes have ever had. And we have seen some big changes. Obviously, two different winners in Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. The point system, given 1 extra point. Obviously, 4 different drivers have won that, from 4 different races. And yes, it has been a good start. We are in Europe. A lot of teams bring improvements here, so we could be seeing improvements to the cars. And yes, we are very set for a thrilling weekend for round 5 to kick off the European season. Now, the first Spanish Grand Prix that was ran was at the Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona, which is in 1991. Obviously, the circuit in northeastern Spain, just outside of the Spanish capital of Barcelona, plays host to this race. Now, that's been ran, obviously, since 1991, so that's almost 30 years. 66 laps are ahead of the drivers on Sunday at a circuit length of 4.6 kilometres, and that makes a race distance of 307 kilometres. Now, I think that's the second longest race that we've had this year. I think China was the longest at 311. But it's going to be a really long race. 66 laps is always a long race, around 110 minutes to watch, but it is 110 minutes that you can't take your eyes off the screen to watch. The lap record was set by Daniel Ricciardo, the Red Bull driver, in the 2018 race at a time of 1:18.441. Now, we could see that getting beaten. I think we've seen a change from the fastest laps every year since 2014, obviously since the new V6 engines came in. The cars get more aerodynamic, and yes, we could see that getting beaten yet again. Now, on the topic of fastest laps, as I just said at the start, the really exciting thing, probably one of my favourite things that Formula 1 has ever brought into especially in the last few years, or especially in Liberty Media's point, because they have brought in some rubbish. For example, like when they introduced a Halo cockpit, but I guess we've kind of got used to that now. And of course, in 2016, the terrible qualifying system. Now, yes, the extra point for the fastest lap. I think that's an absolutely amazing thing that Formula 1 has brought in. Now, it's been brought in, obviously, the first race was the Australian Grand Prix. 4 rounds, 4 races, and 4 different drivers have put their name onto that. Now, the first round was won by Valtteri Bottas. It was won. He got first place. He got 25 points, but he also got the fastest lap point. Now, towards the end of that race, this was the first race, that's why it kind of stands out. Towards the end of that race, people like Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and Lewis Hamilton were really turning up the engines because they wanted to win that point. And that's when we knew it was important. In the end, Valtteri Bottas did walk away with 26 points. Now, that was the highest finish anyone's ever had in the season, and I think almost ever, because it's normally 25 for a race win. So, as I say, he walked away with the win and the fastest lap point. Now, since then, we've had, obviously, 3, Bahrain, China, and Azerbaijan with different winners, including a very strange Pierre Gasly at Red Bull. Obviously, we have kind of not given him the easiest ride because of how he's done in the last few races, but even he won it in China, and as I say, 4 different winners up to now. Now, again, it's only 1 point, but as I've just said, Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas are separated in the championship by 1 point, so it is very important, and that 1 point could be, first, second, first, whatever, however you want to say it. That's equal points, and that 1 point that Valtteri Bottas got from the fastest lap in Australia, that's what separates them. And I think when you sit back and think about that, that's actually quite, amazing. And yeah, to be honest, I never actually thought of it that way as well. See, I knew Valtteri Bottas won in Australia, but then I was thinking, I was like, yeah, that they're all square, 25-18, 25-18, and vice versa. They're all square, but that 1 point that Valtteri got is what separates them. So that is actually quite cool. And again, if the season is going to go on like that, first, second, and all that, then that 1 point will definitely matter. And obviously, at this time, it's only 1 point, as I've just said, but Valtteri Bottas has the better cards in his hand. It really is great. So, a 5th winner would be great to see. And yes, it's just great to see the drivers, battling through this as well. Get to the end stage of the race. Normally, the permutations never really change. I think one of the most thrilling ones, I think it was Azerbaijan 2017, where We saw a few people changing positions right at the end. I think second and third were contested for on the line. But yes, normal permutation normally end for about 10 laps to go in the race. And yeah, the fastest lap is just really, really great, to see people, battling for that, at the end of the race. It definitely means a lot to the drivers. So yes, Valtteri Bottas doing a very good job. He leads the World Championship. Now I'm going to start by talking about him quickly. Yes, a fantastic weekend in Azerbaijan. Through all of the problems, through the almost 2-hour qualifying session, he made onto pole position, beating Lewis Hamilton, his 8th pole position of his Formula 1 career, and then rounded an amazing stellar race out in 5th place in the race on Sunday. Really, really fantastic, as I say, to beat his championship leader Lewis Hamilton. Now, we've talked about him absolutely loads, Valtteri Bottas. How is he doing? How is he managing the pressure, and what is he going to do for the rest of the season? Now, he is definitely dealing with that pressure very well. He's battling Lewis Hamilton. He's showing Mercedes that he can be a real contender to the world champion. And as I say, 2 wins, equal wins with Lewis Hamilton, equal with Lewis Hamilton in every way. But as I just said at the start, he has that advantage of 1 point, which is really, really great from him. The Finnish driver going a long way to show that Lewis Hamilton doesn't have to look at the Ferraris to think, where's my challenge? He has to look down the other end of the garage and see his teammate, okay, yes, it's not a Nico Rosberg. And I think that's what kind of got away from him in 2017. It's not Nico, so I don't have to really worry. But now he definitely does, because he's really bringing the fight to Lewis, which is fantastic. Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, as well, yes, equal with Valtteri Bottas, but losing. He didn't get that 1 point. He hasn't got that fastest lap. Again, defending 5-time world champion. He has to obviously have the fastest car because he is the winner. I guess some people might say that if they don't really understand Formula 1 too much. But he should have got that. Well, I mean, he has been going for it. He hasn't said it, in those words, but he definitely is going for it when he sees people like, Vettel and Leclerc and Bottas going for it. And obviously, Leclerc and Bottas have got it already. Even Gasly's got one. So Lewis is definitely pushing, but he hasn't got one. And again, I just think that that's a bit disappointing from him. I think for the 5-time world champion, that's something that he definitely needs to get. So possibly he gets that in Spain. But obviously, nevertheless, it adds some more spice into it. Or it could go completely the opposite direction, and we could see a brand new driver, a 5th different driver of the season, getting it. And again, that could open the floodgates too. Okay, in 2012, you had 7 different winners in 7 different races. This year, we could have, 10 different fastest lap point scorers in 10 different races. I guess that's not as exciting, but, nevertheless, it does kind of add a bit more spice into Formula 1. So, yes, great from Valtteri Bottas at this time. Really, really fantastic. Definitely putting up the fight to Lewis Hamilton. They finished 1-2 on the podium last year in the Spanish Grand Prix of 2018. Lewis Hamilton taking the win over Bottas in 2nd place and Verstappen in 3rd place. Verstappen doing well. Obviously, John gives him a lot more credit this year. I'm a big fan of Verstappen. He is definitely doing what Pierre isn't doing. I don't really think what Red Bull are giving him. I just think that he is more of a talented driver. But yes, he's doing well. He's in 3rd place at the moment, but he's not, unfortunately, going to be there to contest with the 2 Mercedes. Likewise, Ferrari aren't at this time. Leclerc doing a great job. Vettel doing bits of improvement. Obviously, as I say, a podium in Azerbaijan, but really not there, slipping away. And, I don't even want to say he's losing the World Championship lead. I think he's already kind of lost it, really. But, touch wood, he kind of catch up. So yes, so obviously we talked about the drivers, the drivers in the fight. I'm going to kick off this GT Preview show by giving you my 3rd place, 2nd place, and the winner of the Spanish Grand Prix. And to kick things off, I'm going to start within 3rd place. I'm going to go for the race winner and the championship leader, Valtteri Bottas. Now, yes, he is the leader of the World Championship. Yes, he is gunning. Yes, he's doing a fantastic job. Yes, he's in a Mercedes, and normally it will be a 1-2. Obviously, as I just said at the start, this is Mercedes' best start ever since it came into Formula 1. It might have even been since even in the 50s. I think there are 177 points, about 70-odd points ahead of Ferrari in the Constructor. They've run away with that there. The 2 drivers are running away with it in the drivers. As I say, the only person that Valtteri's battling is Lewis, and vice versa. So there's no real red worry there. But yes, Mercedes doing fantastic. As I say, 4-1-2s, fantastic, great start to the season. They've really blocked out the podium. I'm not saying it's going to be a change, but I think that 2nd place won't be a Mercedes driver this time. I think 3rd place will be the lead. I think Valtteri Bottas doing a great job, but I just believe that he will have a 3rd place. Does well around Spain. Obviously, doesn't really have the credentials around it. Never won here before. He has podiumed here before, as I say, last year. Yeah, that's a bit of just a hunch thought. 3rd place. In second place, I'm going to go with Max Verstappen. And now, this is the 2016 winner. Now, one of my favourite races, definitely one of Jordan's. I remember how we reacted in that review that we did for Spain. Oh my God, back in, Spain 2016, obviously. You can watch that if you want. That's actually not one of our bad videos. We never say watch the F1 Habitual back in 2016, but I guess if you want to, you can watch that. It's not that bad. I will leave a link down below so you can go and check that out. That's not too bad. I think that was one of our first videos, over 1,000. So obviously that was great. Thank you for everyone who watched that. If you were around there, and if you are watching this and you were around in 2016, thank you very much for sticking around through all of our. Well, not much to say about what we were, but anyway, again off topic. So yes, so Verstappen in 2016, really, really great race. Train places, we were very skeptical about what happened there. I definitely was. I liked Fiat, I really did. But he came in that weekend with so many eyes on him. There was two sets of eyes. One were on like the championship leaders of, I think Rosberg was going for 8 in a row then. Hamilton was obviously trailing the World Championship to Nico Rosberg, but he's definitely there, obviously battling to defend his three wins, his 3 World Championships at that point. But the second pair of eyes were on Max Verstappen. So there's a lot of cross-eyed journalists watching the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. So the 2 Mercedes drivers took themselves out, which was incredible, down into turn 3. Opened the floodgates for 3rd place Max Verstappen. As I say, youngest ever race winner, 18.5 years old, to come through and win. As I just said, that 18.5 years old was incredible, but the main thing was, this was his first race with Red Bull. Now, yes, granted, if the Mercedes were in the race, that would have never happened. I said that to Jordan, and I think that was when people kind of got ahead of themselves. It would have never happened if Mercedes were in the race. In that year, Mercedes finished all but 2 races with both drivers, one finishing the race and on the podium positions. Obviously, that was the 2 races that they didn't were Spain and Malaysia, and they were the 2 races that Red Bull won. Obviously, Verstappen in Spain and Ricciardo in Malaysia. So it just showed there, that was never going to happen. But yes, great from him, and he does love this circuit. He has podiumed here many times before. I think he's been on every single year since that happened in 2016, including an amazingly fought 3rd place last year. I remember he was battling the Ferraris, and of course his teammate Daniel Ricciardo fought that position. Really, really great from him. He does love the circuit. He will get a lot of backing. And again, first European race, I think he'll do well here. Red Bull have done well at Catalonia before. Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull did very, very well here. Did some of his best race here. I think it was 2011. He won almost over, just under a minute or something like that, or maybe over 30 seconds over Fernando Alonso. A very, very big win from him. Verstappen and Gasly should have a good race here, and Red Bull obviously on as well. But yes, Verstappen I think in 2nd place, and that obviously means that in 1st place I'm going to give it to the Polish driver of Robert Kubica. No, I'm not really. I'm going to give it to the British driver of Lewis Hamilton. Now, of course I am. If I don't mention Hamilton, after I've said 3rd place and he's not there, after I mention Hamilton, he's obviously going to be 1st, or most likely. Now, at the moment, yes, of course, he isn't in 1st position. He is trailing Valtteri Bottas, but for himself, he never put his head down. He never backs away from a fight. Like I've just said there, 2016, he did lose the championship, but it was close. It went down to the wire in Abu Dhabi. Nico Rosberg had already got almost an advantage of him going into the season, but he never, ever bowed. The man who is always under controversy, even when he does one minor thing wrong and everyone's on his back. And I know a lot of people are talking about him now. Is Valtteri Bottas, is he coming for your crown? Well, I know it's just a question, but it's a lot of controversy, more so than like Vettel or anyone else get when it comes down to this. But Hamilton, he does well with the pressure, and he is level with Valtteri Bottas. Like I've just said at the start, but obviously Valtteri is leading him in the World Championship by that one fastest lap point. But I do think that it's going to change now. Again, Valtteri can give him a run for his money, obviously down in 3rd, but getting 10 points on the Finnish driver and then going 9 points clear of the World Championship, I'm going to say it is Lewis Hamilton. Now, do I want this? I mean, yes, because I've just said that's my permutations. But, don't get me wrong, I do want to see Valtteri Bottas give him a fight. I've said to Jordan, I would like him to win the World Championship. I and Jordan said Sebastian Vettel would win the World Championship. That's gone, like he said in the F1 Habitual the other day. So let's shift the paradigm to Valtteri Bottas. I think that he will have a great race this weekend, but obviously only third place for him. Second place is Max, and first place is the British driver of Lewis Hamilton. It'll be very, very juicy, and even if Lewis Hamilton wins this race and goes 9 points clear, possibly 8, possibly 10, depending if Valtteri or Lewis gets the fastest lap, or if somebody else gets the fastest lap. So again, that just adds another dimension to it. But it is nevertheless going to be a great race to watch. Very excited for the Spanish Grand Prix. It's going to kick off the European round great, and obviously kicking off some amazing races. Spain, Monaco, then we go off to Canada, and then it's basically a very, very fast and thrilling summer where we go from Paul Ricard to the Hungaroring in what feels like about 20 seconds. It really is absolutely incredible. So yes, kicking off an amazing European season. So obviously that is my predictions there. Valtteri Bottas in third place, Max Verstappen in second, and Lewis Hamilton in third. So let's see what Jordan's predictions are for the 2019 Grand Prix in Catalonia. Jordan?
So my predictions for the 49th and potential last Spanish Grand Prix for now. Obviously there's been loads of rumours, about the Spanish Grand Prix being taken off the calendar completely, replaced by the Dutch Grand Prix, which we mentioned briefly in the last episode of the F1 Debate Show. So if you haven't seen that, please go and check them out. So it's been nothing but a Mercedes dominance, hasn't it, for the past 4 races. 4 races down, 4 1-2s for Mercedes. They just look unstoppable. Ferrari just do not have an answer for them. And I think it's going to be the same again for the Spanish Grand Prix. I think Hamilton took the victory here last year. Again, very, very dominant display. Bottas came second. I think Verstappen came third. And I think Vettel could have got the podium, but I believe that he had a bit of a pit stop problem, which cost him a podium. And just kind of like showing how Ferrari can just kind of like throw away a race, even if it's not down to the car or the driver necessarily. So my top 3 for the Spanish Grand Prix, I'm going to go for third place, Charles Leclerc. Now, Leclerc, he's been alright, don't get me wrong. He has shown some really, really good pace. He is definitely on par with Sebastian Vettel. There's no doubt about that. If team orders hadn't came in play at certain points, I think Leclerc could have been ahead of Vettel by now, definitely, especially taking the win at Bahrain. That's if his engine cost him that, if you like. But I think Leclerc is doing a superb job. I think he's going to have a really, really good weekend. I believe I've got a funny feeling that he's due another Bahrain kind of weekend. And obviously Ferrari are bringing upgrades this weekend, power upgrades, so that will definitely help them. But will it help them in terms of against the Mercedes? I really, really doubt it. I can't see Mercedes being beaten just yet. I can't see them being beaten eventually. I can't see another Mercedes dominance like we have seen, the past couple of years. I think probably coming up, maybe about the halfway stage, I think Ferrari might catch up with them then. But at the moment, Mercedes are just on another level. So for me, Charles Leclerc coming in third place. So in second place, it is a tricky one, isn't it? Because you generally don't know. You honestly have no clue as to which of the Mercedes drivers are going to be in first or second. It's just, flip a coin. Like heads for Hamilton, tails for Bottas to finish in second or even in first place. So for my second place, I'm going to take a little bit of a gamble, and I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton. Now, Lewis Hamilton at Spain is actually one of those tracks where Hamilton hasn't really done that particularly well in the past. Obviously, he took the win last year. He had a brilliant display, but he's only won here 3 times, and his first win didn't come until 2014. So that's quite late in terms of for Lewis Hamilton. And as I said, he's won the race 3 times. Schumacher's got the record with 6. So again, this is like a bit of a weak track for Hamilton in the past, but from this car, I think he's going to have another good weekend. I think he'll get pole position without a doubt. But I think Bottas has shown something different this year. It's just, as I said, Bottas 2.0. He's showing something absolutely incredible, and I'm loving every minute of it. I'm loving every minute of seeing Bottas being like this. And I'm almost rooting for Bottas, and I shouldn't be really, because I'm British. I should be really supporting the home drivers, the home nation drivers, in George Russell, Lando Norris, and of course Lewis Hamilton. But when you see what Bottas had last season, and what he went through, and the criticism he got, and this season he has responded, you can't really help yourself and go, yeah, right, I do want you to do well, and I want it to be a really close battle, because I think when Ferrari actually come to the table, I can't see them actually catching up. They might win a couple of races here and there, which I believe they will. When, I don't know, as I said, probably later in the season. but I can't see them catching up to Mercedes anytime soon. The only reason they will is if if the Mercedes car breaks down, or if another car collides with one of their cars. I can't see a pit stop problem. I can't see, in fact, I can't really see a car problem. I can't see a driver error. I can't see a strategy wrong call. I can't see anything going wrong at Mercedes other than a bit of unluckiness where, I don't know, maybe they're in the wrong place at the wrong time kind of situation. That's the only reason I can see Mercedes, not being in the top two or even scoring a podium, if you like. So yes, Hamilton in P2, like I said, little bit of a bogey track, if you like. But for me, P1 might go. I say might. I'm going to guess Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas drove superbly in the last Grand Prix. I loved the way he drove. I loved the way how he was. He kept calm under pressure, and he won the race. And of course, he got the trophy from George Russell, which I already mentioned in the review. So yeah, it's like I'm optimistic about Bottas this weekend. I'm quite, yeah, I will say I am optimistic, but like I don't know how. Again, the things about Bottas is that he has to be consistent. Like we mentioned in the last episode of the F1 debate show, he has to be consistent if he wants to win the championship. And to do so, he's going to have to start winning back-to-back races, and he's going to have to not just beat Hamilton once, but beat Hamilton all season long. He's going to have to constantly take the fight to him, because even though I believe Bottas can generally have a good title fight, I just think that sometimes that he can lack a bit of ability, if you like, and half the time I think when drivers come up against Lewis Hamilton, that they are on par with him quite a bit, and then they kind of like fall away from the pack, if you like. Rosberg was probably the only driver I would say that didn't really fall away. I mean, 2015 all right, but and that was really down to the car. But 2016 he beat him. 17 Bottas was all right. You could let him off that. 2018, yeah, he was there, and then again he just drifted away. Same with Vettel. The past 2 years, 17 and 18, he was there, and then all of a sudden he just drifted apart. So Bottas has to be on his game all the time, and I do believe he will do that. I do believe he will conjure up something amazing and have a really good Grand Prix. Even though I did say Hamilton will get pole position, overtaking in Spain is quite difficult. It's almost like, what did they say? It's Monaco without the barriers. I think that which track is it? Is it Spain? I think it's Spain where they say it's Monaco without the barriers, or it could be Hungary. I'm not too sure, but they are quite similar. Those types of tracks where there are corners, but it is very, very difficult to overtake in certain areas. Obviously, one of the main overtaking points would be the start-finish straight. Obviously, one of the first DRS zones on the track. I think there's 2 this weekend, I believe. But yeah, for me, Valtteri Bottas to have another superb win, another superb drive to prove critics wrong. Like people are still doubting Valtteri Bottas, which I'm a bit surprised that people aren't quite not so much jumping the Valtteri Bottas bandwagon, but like just kind of like giving him a bit more credit than what he deserves. I think people are still on the Hamilton bandwagon a bit much, and I think that we need to kind of like concentrate on Bottas a little bit more and going like he is a genuine threat to Hamilton, and he can trip him up at some points. But we all know how cool and calm and collected Hamilton can be under pressure. But only time will tell. Let's see what happens in the Spanish Grand Prix. So my top 3 is, like I said, Charles Leclerc in P3, Hamilton in P2, and Valtteri Bottas in P1. So my other ones maybe to watch out for. One driver I wouldn't say watch out for, but one driver that he needs to improve ASAP is, wait for it, Daniel Ricciardo. 3 retirements, 1 point score and finish in P7 at China. Now, right, okay, let's think about this. It hasn't been a good start for Renault. Nico Hülkenberg hasn't done, bits either, if you like. Renault was supposed to be, this was supposed to be their season when they're like, maybe on par with Red Bull, even like knocking at the door, or even opening the door for the top 3. That's what we all thought coming, off the back of 2018. It was a very, very good 2018 from Renault, don't get me wrong. But this season, it just hasn't delivered. And a lot of people are now questioning Ricciardo's, again, has he made the right decision? I think it is too early, still well too early. Renault could pull it out of the bag all of a sudden and just deliver some really, really, really good results. Like we've seen with Haas last season, there was a bit of a rocky start at the start, and then as the season went on, they got a bit better. And I think Renault could do that. But the midfield is so tight at the moment. And what Zach Brown said as well at Azerbaijan, where he said, one track we're going to be in 4th place, and the next track we could be 9th place. And Renault need to be at the track where there will be that fourth place, well, fourth place on pace in terms of the constructor, not necessarily the position in the drivers. Because obviously, fourth place is probably going to be occupied by one of the Ferraris, even one of the Red Bulls. So yeah, Renault need to improve. Ricciardo needs to get some consistent results to stop critics, getting on his back. Because I was expecting this. I was expecting going right. He's had a bit of a rocky start. People are going to be like, "Oh, you made the wrong decision. He could be doing much better in the Red Bull." That is true, but give him time. Get him time to adjust the car, to Renault to get it right, and once that car is to what Daniel Ricciardo wants it to be, then they could be a force to be reckoned with in the future. I think this season could be a bit of a write-off. For now, I think results will improve, but I can't see them drastically improve, and I can't see them scoring a podium at this point. Because I had a funny feeling that might have happened in Azerbaijan. That wasn't the case, and I can't see it happening anywhere else, unless Monaco, of course. Monaco conjures up something amazing. But apart from that, I can't see them scoring a podium anywhere else, unless they're just magically finding 200 horsepower from somewhere. Anyways, another driver, Pierre Gasly. Gasly. I thought Gasly did very, very well in Azerbaijan. Obviously, reliability let him down, gutted, but he's starting to show signs race by race that he is getting a bit better. He's still I would say a long way from Verstappen's kind of level, which where he needs to be, and that should be his target first of all. He should be right, and it'd be on par with Verstappen, and it'd be close to him, and it'd be scoring the same points as him, and it'd be where he is, qualifying and the race. Obviously, it hasn't really been that for Pierre Gasly, and again, we're getting on his back straight away. Demotion to Toro Rosso. Chill out, calm down. Let's not jump on the bandwagon just yet with Pierre Gasly, but he is starting to show signs of improvement. And I think that the Spanish Grand Prix is another race where he can get some decent points and where he can again show his driving ability, because I think the Red Bull car kind of it fits the Spanish Grand Prix circuit, the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. It's now called. Verstappen won here in 2016, so he's gonna come back here with good memories. Came on the podium last season, so obviously he's going to be wanting to do well at this Grand Prix. I think he will finish ahead of Gasly, but Gasly again is showing signs of improvements, but he needs to do more to stop people from getting on his back and for people to really understand that, all right, Gasly is a decent driver. He is worthy of the Red Bull seat, and don't hand it to anybody else just yet, because people are saying Albon should be in that seat next season. It's like, no. Well, if you put Albon in that car next year, then therefore that's Gasly 2.0. They've just thrown him in straight away after one season. Red Bull seem to have this kind of repetitive theme where put that guy in the Toro Rosso for one season and he's in the car the following year. They did it with Gasly. All right, he drove for 2017. But 2018 full season, he was in the Red Bull the next year. Verstappen did it. Daniel Ricciardo did it. Albon, just learn a lesson. Give the driver time. That's all he needs. Time. Because at the minute, I think Red Bull are doing really, really well. They know that they haven't got the pace to battle with the Mercedes. The Ferrari, yes, they haven't got the pace, but Ferrari are tripping over themselves, and Red Bull will be able to capitalise on that. And I think they will if Ferrari keep on doing that. And yes, I think maybe next year they could be a bit better, but once 2021 comes around, keep Gasly there, then hopefully you'll have the car to be able to to deliver, and put in some performances and again prove people wrong and pretty much show that he can become a potential world champion like what he was set out to be. One more driver I'm going to quickly mention is Kimi Raikkonen, scoring points at every single round so far this season. Started in the pit lane, and finished in the points P10. I think he finished in. So again, just proving how good Raikkonen actually is in this Alfa Romeo. It's a very, very good car. Giovinazzi, not quite there. Been a bit unlucky, I'm not going to lie. He has been a bit unlucky, like what some of you guys have said on Twitter. He has been unlucky. But Kimi Raikkonen is doing absolutely superb. I'm liking that he's not in a kind of like a pressured environment anymore. It's not like, oh, Kimi Raikkonen is just he's just a piece of dead wood, get rid of him, he should be leaving Formula One. It's gone from that to, oh, Kimi Raikkonen scoring points. Yes, he's a really good driver. And even people making jokes that, oh, look at this kid, Kimi Raikkonen, keep an eye on him because he might be in the Ferrari next season. Like jokes like that. Obviously, that won't happen. Will it? No, it won't. So like, yeah, it is nice to see people like being relaxed around Kimi. He doesn't seem as annoyed and as stressed anymore. He seems a bit relaxed, which is good. Which I think is good to see, because obviously we all knew Raikkonen was never going to be able to win championships at Ferrari, especially with a team like Sebastian Vettel. And again, if he was there this season, it wouldn't be any different, to be honest. I think a lot of people will, again, if Reitman was still there this season, we all would have been saying the same thing. Oh, Leclerc could do a better job, and Leclerc should be in that seat. And now we're saying here again, saying, oh, Reitman could be doing a really good job in that Ferrari and all this. So it's like, right, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen unless it actually does happen. So it's just one of those things. But Kim Reitman, keep doing what you're doing. Very, very. I'm very, very big fan of Kim Reitman this season. But this is where I'm going to wrap up my end of the preview. I'm going to hand back over to Lyle and obviously let you know his thoughts for the rest of the preview and his thoughts for the rest of what could potentially happen in the Grand Prix.
Yes, thank you, John. Yes, some good predictions there. Obviously, I hope you agree with them. So make sure to leave your comment about what you think about his predictions. Obviously, also what you think about my predictions as well. And yes, it seems to be a very, very hotly contested race for Sunday. Very, very excited to go into that. Now, obviously, before we end here, I'm just going to give some quick shout out to some drivers. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is Daniel Ricciardo. Now, he is doing not a great job at Renault. Not what he expected to get. He's had 3 retirements in 4 races. He finished the race in China. Now, he retired in the other 2 races, Bahrain, Australia and Bahrain. And, of course, he retired quite comically from Azerbaijan. Now, we all saw it, talked about it in the review show, backing in to Fiat. Now, I mean, I don't know what he was playing at. He gave us reasons for doing it, obviously pretty tame as well. There was no smiles on his face. He just said how it is. He didn't think that he was there, which I guess, I mean, you might not have seen him in the mirrors, fine. We don't know, and obviously the F1 mirrors are tiny, but if you don't know he's there, can't you just get a bit of a sense, that you've just crashed into someone? And also, from your FIA safety, do you actually think that reversing down at like one of those, escape roads is actually safe? A lot of times you do see drivers spin the car around. I mean, I don't know what he was doing there. I really don't know. But anyway, yes, so obviously he retires from the race. Obviously there was only one Renault to finish that race, which was Nico Hülkenberg, who was running out of the points at that time. Obviously, not a great race for him. But yes, Daniel Ricciardo really needs to sort out how he's doing with Renault. Now, there's 2 things I think Renault need to sort out. Yes, of course, one, their pace. But, the Australian, the Aussie, I do like Danny. He was a good driver at Red Bull, but, okay, come on, how he drives the car. He is definitely doing something wrong where there's just something not right with him and Renault in that car. It's only round 5, we're only heading into round 5, but I just don't think that he feels at home in that car as of yet. I mean, to be honest, even watching Australia, I even got that, that feeling. When he started in Australia, he, got pushed out by Lando Norris. But then, in his own circuit as well, it's like he went over the grass, hit the drainage cover. And again, I know that's just sod's law. That's not his fault. But that's just when I thought, like, I don't know, you're just doing something like that. It's like you haven't really learnt the car yet. And again, like we said about Pierre Gasly and people like that, he might not have learnt the car yet, but Daniel Ricciardo, he's a gunning guy. We all know that he's left Red Bull. He's been at Red Bull in Formula One. Outside of Formula One, he's been in Red Bull almost all of his life. being a Red Bull Junior in the Red Bull Junior program, obviously, like many of them are. So he left Red Bull for one goal and one goal only, and it wasn't to do with Lewis Hamilton, where he was just taking a challenge. He left to win the World Championship with Renault, a team that he thought could win the World Championship. He didn't want to go with Honda. He wanted to leave Red Bull because they were going to Honda and he didn't see any potential, but he wanted to go with Renault. I think probably one of the things that was in the back of his mind was obviously Seb winning his race. But yes, obviously gunning for Renault, wanted one thing in that he wanted to get, which was to win the World Championship. And at the moment, it is not starting like that. Again, needs to get used to the car, but we're at round 5, Danny. It's not that good, and if you tangled up in crashes all the time, I'd let you off. But you have that. I don't know. It's just not great for you, especially to do something like that in Azerbaijan. Yes, we all had a good laugh about it. It's the man who's smiling isn't smiling anymore. But yes, it's like, come on, Danny. I don't know what you're playing at really. But nevertheless, he's still a good driver. Renault is still going kind of strong in the World Championship. But yes, hopefully they can improve. Obviously, the European round definitely will help them. They are bringing some upgrades, like many teams are, to the event on Sunday. Obviously, just being over the border, obviously from their base, their factory in southern France. So yes, obviously Renault, Daniel Ricciardo not doing great. Nico Hülkenberg really needs to sort out what he's doing. Obviously, Mr. Neely, man, I was hoping he would have had a podium or two. If I'm truthfully honest, I was hoping that he'd had a podium or two, you know, even this far in. But obviously that has not happened yet. Obviously, Nico Hülkenberg is still chasing that. Williams, now again, there's not much to say about them. Robert Kubica, he did have that. I did say George Russell in the review, obviously apologies for that. But yes, Robert Kubica did crash on Saturday. It was misjudged again. It wasn't, you know, it was a bit of a bad error from him. Obviously, he knows that corner. He hasn't driven the track before. Obviously, this was his first year doing it, even though he is experienced in Formula One. It's just, it wasn't great from him to do that. Obviously, another thing was the Sod's Law incident on Friday when George Russell obviously was attacked by that manhole cover. Big 7-digit damage done by that. I think there was a bit of a lawsuit where Williams did want the money from the Baku City Street circuit. Malaysia, I think it was Malaysia 2016, Haas ran over a drain cover, got some chassis damage, and that estimate, I think it was just under $1 million US dollars, and Malaysia, the Sepang International Circuit, had to pay that. So I think Baku will have to pay Williams' woes, but yes, not great for Williams, and obviously they just finished at the back from there on. I don't think it's getting to the point where Williams are a laughingstock yet. I'd like to think that they would do a bit more in this race. I mean, obviously not the points. I think when Williams get into the points, that's when pigs will fly, and yeah, and the F1 will be successful. But yes, Williams really not doing great. But yes, again, like me and John were talking about the other day, you know, Mercedes, George Russell is a Mercedes test driver. Mercedes must not be very happy seeing him at the back all of the time. But obviously, this is a shot in F1. He's not blowing it. Williams kind of off for him, and yes, I just don't really know what's happening with them. Racing Point doing very well, obviously getting into the points in Azerbaijan. McLaren, fantastic from them, both of them in the points. Lando is an amazing driver. Carlos Sainz, this is his home race. I'm hoping for big things from him. He could get very close to the podium. I hope this weekend he could do really, really well. McLaren, again, also bringing some improvements for car upgrades from Woking, so that could be really, really good for the team just outside of Surrey. So yes, it could be a very good race for them. Haas, you know, midfield, they really need to step up. And yes, it's going well for them at the moment. Obviously, Roman Grosjean has had quite a few bad races, but I'm hoping that they will do quite well. Toro Rosso is a really, really incredible team to watch at the moment. Alexander Albon just missing out on the point in 11th place in Azerbaijan. He got points in China. He won his first race in Formula 2 in Azerbaijan. Obviously, kicked off his Formula 2 season of last year. Again, yes, doing fantastic in there. Danny Kvyat retired from Azerbaijan, but he was running well. A crash that just was not his fault. Toro Rosso is a great team to watch this time. Our very much contender for Team of the Year. Really strong from them. Ferrari going strong, really slipping away best of the rest, but for Spain has suited them before. Obviously, a lot of Ferrari fans in Spain, obviously left over from the Fernando Alonso era. So hopefully I think Charles Leclerc will have a good race. I'm hoping that he might finish higher than Sebastian Vettel, but nevertheless, both Ferraris should have a good race. Obviously, I've counted them out of the podium positions, but yes, I'm hoping that they will have a great race. And yes, Red Bull Racing, Pierre Gasly, I'm going to say 4th position, just randomly. Because, you know, Pierre Gasly, he's going strong. He didn't have the best race in Azerbaijan, but he was running quite strong as well. I think he was battling Lance Stroll in the Racing Point. Obviously, lower down, but still in the points. Max Verstappen obviously going straight ahead of Pierre Gasly, but that Frenchman is definitely catching up. So I'm going to say a good race from him also. And you never know, he might be in contention for the fastest lap, obviously just like he was in China. Obviously, Max on the podium as well. You know, that will make it a Red Bull 3 and 4. Obviously, one just outside of the podium. Sorry, I said Max in second. Obviously, Max in second place will break up the Mercedes drivers, and yes, obviously Mercedes will definitely run away with it. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton is he has won here 3 times, the most successful driver that we have on the grid at the moment in Spain. Obviously, win in 2015, 2017, and 2018. The only race that was missing was obviously 2016 when he crashed with Nico Rosberg. So yes, we are set for a great race. So obviously that is the end of the GT preview show, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Just a quick mention that we haven't said yet. I'm actually going to be absent from the F1 debate shows and episode that I could be coming out for the next few weeks. I'm going to be in Barcelona working alongside the Formula 1 race. So that means that Jordan, who is my co-host, some say not as good, but we'll let you decide. Just joking. He will be taking the reins for doing the F1 debate shows. I think that he will do then 2 on his own, Monaco preview, Spain preview, and then yes, obviously you will be with him. Yes, I obviously give him my. I think he will do a good job. Obviously, I'll try and get back on the F1 debate show as soon as I can. But yes, obviously, just a quick mention that I won't be here in the next few weeks. Obviously, I'll try and get out to the race. No, I can't guarantee that I'll be there. But obviously, if I am, I will definitely get some like photos and videos and stuff like that for you guys out there. Also, just one last thing to mention, obviously we mentioned it in the last few episodes that came out, was our goal for the British Grand Prix in 2019, obviously about 2 months away. We have a goal, we have a plan to reach 550 subscribers by the British Grand Prix. Now, I can say again, we've got about 2 months to do that. We are slowly but surely getting there. Like Jordan said in the episode the other day, it's not a massive goal, but it's definitely a goal that I hope that we can achieve together by the British Grand Prix. Obviously, it's not that far away. I think it's about 20 subscribers as of when I'm recording this episode. Yes, I do think that we can get there. Let's go and get it. As I said last time, if you are subscribed, thank you very much for watching. If you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button. Let's help us out. We need all the help we can get. And obviously, me and Jordan are going to the British Grand Prix, so obviously that'll be a great help for us when we get there. We are planning to make a video every single day. So yes, obviously guys, thank you very much for watching this episode. Obviously enjoy the Spanish Grand Prix, and until next time guys, we'll see you later.